What's going on is Anton from AntonDaniels.com. I appreciate you guys for continuing to rock with me, but I just got home off of an early morning flight, right? First thing through the door, I want to see my family. I love my family. You know, I'm a family man. I'm an advocate for families, right? Second thing, I got to get that hot shower because I got to throw the threads on. The threads make me feel like $1,000,000, but the third thing through my mind and all throughout the trip is that I gotta have that Tej pack. Tej makes my life uncomplicated. It's uncomplicated skincare for men. The first way that I started specifically was their level 1 system. It's a daily face wash to get rid of the dirt and grime on your skin. 2 times per week exfoliating scrub to get rid of the dead skin cells. An AM moisturizer with SPF 20 because you should always be protecting your skin from the sun, and a PM moisturizer to help your skin stay hydrated and healthy throughout the night. Here's the thing. My favorite part about Tej Henley is that every box comes with an instruction card that tells you when to use each product, how much to use, and in what order. They really making the process of achieving and maintaining amazing skin for men uncomplicated. In addition to amazing skin, members of Tej Henley get tons of benefits, including at least 20% off the retail price, the ability to customize your box, exclusive monthly deals, you can pause and cancel at any time, and you get free shipping. And because Tej Henley is sponsoring today's video, they're offering my viewers an amazing deal, right? Just click the first link in the description and you get 30% off your first box, plus a free gift. It's an amazing deal. You got to get started today. You're not out here trying to look like a dusty. And if you travel as much as I do, which I'm sure most people don't, but you know me, I'm pushing my bag chasers in order to be in the top 5%, top 10%, top 1%. We got to make our lives uncomplicated, and Tej Henley is no better product. You got to look good. You got to smell good. And you can't be looking like a dusty. Make sure you get started today. Click the link in the description. Get that Tej pack. Feel the Tej, my friends. What's going on is Anton from AntonDaniels.com. I appreciate you guys for continuing to rock with me. Thank you for tuning into the Millionaire Morning Show. I'm your host, Anton Daniels, and I appreciate you guys. We got started a little bit early today, but it's okay. I want to give an early shout out to Marilyn Bannister. Thank you for supporting the platform. Also, Wally Amin, shout out to you for the fireball. I appreciate you. And then my dog, Mike, that dude, is in the building. Thank you for supporting the platform. You guys are absolutely awesome. And I know that this is a little bit off because we usually get started 30 to 45 minutes from now. But I had to make some adjustments. I had to pivot because I have to do some, I got to do some reviews today. So I got some meetings. I got to do some reviews. And those start roughly a couple hours from now. And so because we don't miss, and I didn't even realize that I had to take care of the reviews because I had rescheduled them because basically, or I had my people reschedule them because basically I had to do the move in and I had a whole lot of business that I had to take care of yesterday. But let me give y'all a round of applause for making sure that y'all tuned in yesterday. Y'all had it popping. It was lit in here. So shout out to y'all. Shout out to y'all for continuing to kick it and run it up because we take care of business. We also live streamed on After Hours last night. So that was awesome. It's been a great week. It's been a productive week. I don't know where I'm going to be next week because I might be over in Dalton. I don't know what's going to happen. We got All-Star Weekend this month. We got the Super Bowl this weekend, and so it should be awesome. I got some more furniture that's being delivered tomorrow. Lots of meetings this weekend in order to ensure that everything is taken care of. But what's going on, y'all? How y'all feel? Can I get one word from the people in the chat of how you feeling this morning? What up, Peter Investor? What up, Sunshine? What up, Kay Cooper? Kiro, I see you. All Around Show 100. Demetra Taylor, what up? Nola Grillin, Rod Les, Bobby Sherry, Chris Thomas, Freight Train Shane, By His Grace Dispatching, True to Myself, Kojak, Yakar, Charles Pride, Roxy, Trading with Chris. What up, friends and family? Lil Black Duck, I see you. What's going on? Tucker and Putin. I know, that was crazy yesterday. We gonna see what some of the people had to say about it. So I plan on tackling that a little bit. I see y'all say energized, fabulous, insightful, productive, great, good, amazing, and beautiful. What up, Brandy? Power Washing Pro says early, awesome, productive, thankful, indeed, awesome, bro, prosperity, traveling, grateful, outstanding. Tim O'Neill, what's happening? Ernest Scott, what's the word? What's happening, friends? I see B Moore's best said outstanding. Took yesterday off. Who took yesterday off? I worked more than I ever have. I think it's more work to actually do a pre-production show to then launch it for people to see it on the premiere than it is to actually do it live. I ain't even gonna kid you, because it's kind of weird when you're used to interacting with the chat. But obviously, I'm a professional, so that's what I do. But it's kind of weird because you guys are kind of sort of part of the show. You kind of sort of part of the show, and so when I don't have you guys and I'm kind of just giving game and I'm talking for the next 2 hours straight, at least the next 2 hours straight, it's weird to not have that feedback. It's almost like doing comedy without an audience. I see y'all say our street said fresh and clean. Outlaw Nation, what up though? Willa CNA, what's happening? Motivated, productive, said Kojak's sister. What up, sister? That wonderful gratitude, great, dauntless, good, sore, tired. They trying to ban Tucker from traveling in Europe. We out here talking about, yo, you was talking about you. Oh, okay, I got you. You feeling dangerous? Yeah, it's kind of weird. 6 Mile, baby. What up, King Cool? Divorce is final. Shout out to Mike, that dude. I see you. What's up, Doc? What's up, Dr. Cloud in the building? Great morning. Cool, excellent. All right, Monique, what's up? Grateful. What's up, Keisha? What's up, all of my friends? All right, y'all ready to get started with the show? Because we got to go ahead and get it popping. All right, so again, make sure that y'all tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. I got 2 videos. Actually, I got 1 video and 1 live stream that's popping for y'all on this weekend. So they're both going to be awesome. Obviously, the one that we got is the live stream on Sunday. So let me ask y'all a question before we do the live stream. Do we need to pivot simply because it's Super Bowl Sunday? Do we need to pivot from Sunday? Or do we just move Stock Club up a little bit earlier? Y'all let me know. I'm going to see what y'all got to say. Y'all think about that. And then hopefully I can remember to revisit it by the end of the show. Because I'm trying to figure out if I should pivot. Should I move it to the weekend after that? Or should I move it up earlier? Because I do have a video that's dropping this weekend also on Patreon. Y'all let me know, but make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. Also, Teach Henley, 30% off your first order plus a free gift. Ladies get it for the fellas. Fellas, don't wait for the ladies to get it for you. It's a great product. I would never endorse anything that I'm not myself using. And so make sure you tap into that Teach Henley. That link is in the description. Y'all said move it earlier, pivot, little earlier. Some people are saying move it to the earlier day, and other people are saying pivot and moving it to the next week. Because when y'all be getting ready for Super Bowl, it's kind of weird because everybody's saying, acting like they got the work ethic that I got and that they're going to be taking care of business. Move Stock Club to 2 p.m. All right. I'll figure it out a little earlier. All right, we'll figure it out. Let me think about it. Let me work through it, and then I'll give y'all an update anyway. Can you do the entire show with your arm up? What arm? This arm? With my watch? You want me to do the entire show like this? Or with this arm? I don't know what that means. Shout out to JP. I appreciate you for the first super chat of the day. Thank you, my friend. Make Stock Club earlier. Put a poll up. Well, the problem with putting a poll up is that if I put a poll up here in the Millionaire Morning Show, everybody that's a part of the Millionaire Morning Show is not necessarily a part of the Bag Chasers, unfortunately. So if you're not a part of the Patreon, the link is in the description. Make sure you tap into the Patreon. It's an awesome, awesome place to be. Make sure you click the link in the description of any of the most recent videos inside of the Patreon, because that's when you then have access to the Discord. All right? All right, y'all. Let's get to it. I want to go ahead and get started with the show. Again, make sure you hit a like for the algorithm. I'd appreciate it. Let's get started, y'all. Quick Hits is a segment of the show where we basically break down different things that's happening throughout the United States of America, whether it be news related, money related. We all know that this is the Millionaire Morning Show, so it always comes back down to the money, regardless of whether it's news related or money related. And so let's go ahead and get it popping, y'all. So the first thing is that Donald Trump and his team obviously is going to pounce on this whole Fani Willis situation, especially since they're trying to hold him accountable. And I'm really, really, really surprised. Like, to have him still operating at the level and the capacity and without any kind of duress that he's operating, considering all of the different opposition, I think that he could quite possibly be the most opposed presidential candidate in history, certainly in my lifetime. I've never seen someone, as far as Trump is concerned, that is, someone that is so polarizing, in which they get extreme reactions on both the like and the dislike side. And people, they genuinely feel something towards him, whether they really, really like and support what he got going on, or they really, really like, or they really hate whatever it is that he represents, right? But this is basically a summary of what's going on as far as what his team is saying about Fani Willis. Check it out.
President Trump will once again try to disqualify Fulton County DA Fani Willis in the election interference case for alleged misconduct.
His lawyers have specifically called out Willis' speech last month at Big Bethel AME Church. The former president's team accuses Willis of trying to inject race into the case, possibly leading to prejudice against defendants. But she says it was not aimed at the former president or any other defendants in the election interference case.
Meanwhile, DA Fani Willis has filed her own motion to try to quash the subpoenas requiring her and her staff to testify at a hearing next week. The hearing would determine if her office should be removed from the 2020 election interference case. Former White House aide Michael Roman accuses Willis and Special Prosecutor Nathan Wade of having a romantic relationship that should disqualify her from the case.
So essentially, you know, they're trying to say that she shouldn't even be on this case in the first place, right? Because ethics matter, optics matter. And also, when you're trying to prosecute somebody, but you also have so much drama and issues that directly influence and impact the cases that you're allegedly prosecuting, then we have to take that into consideration. And so he's basically saying, hey, either she need to recuse herself or she need to remove herself from this whole case, because she is not in a position where she should be, and I think it's a witch hunt anyway, but she should not be in a position where she should be prosecuting this case, considering and then also taking into consideration his experience and whether or not he actually ethically got his job, or he got the position that he got, or if he was handed a bag and then she was also sleeping with the help. So Trump is absolutely on top of this, as I would be if I was a defendant. Freight Train Shane says, why do you wear it on your right hand instead of your left hand? Well, I'm actually wearing it on my left hand, but because it's mirrored, because as you can see, this is actually backwards. I want to be able to face whatever it is that I'm looking at, because my computer or my screen is actually facing this way. And so not only do I want to face this way when I'm having a conversation with you guys, but it's also better as far as how it is that I got these little squares set up that's on your screen to make it ideal. So don't think that I'm wearing my watch on my right hand. It's actually on my left hand, but you see it mirrored. So if I did like this, then you would say, oh, yeah, it is on your left hand. And you can see this, and all of the words are straight, but it's actually mirrored so you can see me from this perspective. So that answers your question, Freight Train Shane. Rolex arm is definitely a motivator. Okay, I like that. Well, listen, as long as you motivated, continue to get that bag, big dog. I appreciate you. All right, let's continue on. So that's Fani Willis. Secondly, Keith Lee. Now, this is a story, obviously, that I've been paying attention to. And the one lady's name, the name of her business or her food truck is Sweetly Seasoned. Sweetly Seasoned. That is the woman that Keith Lee basically pulled up on. She wound up finessing and trying to take some additional monies instead of her getting the visibility that came along with him promoting her business, and taking a prayer and taking a basically $5,000 that he left them. He left them like almost $1,000 in order to continue to pay for the food of the people that came after. And then he gave them $4,000 for tips. And instead of her taking that and doing the right thing, she stood on business and she completely messed up all of the visibility that she had. But not only did she mess up the visibility, but she also messed up it went negative. It went all the way to the left instead of it going all the way to the right, right? But here's the thing. The thing that we don't pay attention to is A, the idiots, and then B, how it affects other people and other businesses. What do I mean? Well, there's a business that's similarly named to her business that everybody went on the internet and they started leaving negative reviews for, and it's unfortunate. So take a look, y'all.
Let that kind of cook out.
Jonathan Avola has cooked for decades, but Friday something happened for the first time in his career.
We're just gonna add a little bit of marinara to it.
Jonathan got a phone call from an angry stranger who called him a crooked, lying, dirty thief.
You man. You need to change your name and you need to close your restaurant, man. That was the first call of the day, and it was 350 of those calls throughout the day.
One after the other, furious people threatening to destroy his life and catering company kept calling. Jonathan ran to his wife, Amy, beyond confused.
Amy, I said, Amy, something's up. My phone is ringing off the hook. I keep hearing Keith Lee.
Keith Lee, Amy explained to her husband, is a famous TikTok food critic who recently visited Dallas.
That meat do fall off the bone.
While Lee was here, he stopped at a food truck which eventually went viral after its owner was accused of misappropriating a big tip left by Lee. That food truck is not at all associated with the Avola's business, Seasoned Street Food, but it does have a slightly similar name. Angry people on the internet, Amy realized, confused the two businesses and would not stop harassing her husband.
From all around the world. I'm talking about from the Virgin Islands, Caribbean, Dubai,
UK,
Europe, UK.
Australia.
All those folks started posting negative Google reviews, quickly dropping Seasoned Street Food's rating from 5 stars to 3.
We had to shut the website down.
Saturday, the Avolas worked for 14 hours, gave away free food to anyone who would take it. Just to explain.
Keith Lee was not here. And we're not affiliated with the controversy.
Amy and Jonathan pray you heard that loud and clear and will stop calling unless it's to place an order. In Dallas.
That's unfortunate. It really is unfortunate because people are insane. Let's really consider what's happening here, right? People that don't even visit the restaurant or that never even was even close to the food truck that he did rate is calling from all over the world threatening to end this man's life. Now, a man answered the phone. A white man is answering the phone, and y'all are threatening it based off of a food review that's not even associated with him on the internet. That is insane. And this is one of the very, 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 very few situations where I say that people do not get what they deserve. There are some anomalies, and I always say that, hey, I deserve anything that I get is just based off of the hand that I was dealt. But you can't tell me just because this man named his business that's not even close to similar, but similar in a way, right, to the business that, you know, Keith Lee rated. So any business that's named close to that, that's even remotely in the Texas area or in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, is going to be absolutely destroyed because of the one thing that happened over this viral moment. And these people is insane. You telling me people that have no sense? That's how I know that the world is crazy. That's why I'm very, very much on you guys, and I'm interacting with the chat, and I learn to, you know, really learn who the people are that support me and love me. Shout out to Azriel. Shout out to True to Myself. Shout out to Sister. Shout out to all of the people, Brandy, Keisha. I can't name all of y'all. But in a way, you know, I'm very, very appreciative of the people that love and support me because you guys actually pay attention and you actually listen. And you won't just go off the deep end just because you heard something or it's weird. You just keep on rocking out with me and we move accordingly, right? So shout out to the chasers and shout out to the bag chasers. Your car says, Anton, I sent you the story with a girl who got Keith Lee to come to the original food truck as the person who organized this giveaway and raised the money for that food truck. Yeah. I heard about that. I did hear about that. The main thing that I wanted to hit on is people are crazy. People are absolutely insane. And that's why I keep my head on a swivel. That's why I'm very, very careful how I move. Because it doesn't even matter if 999,000 people like you, it only take one to mess everything up. It only take one to mess everything up. We learned it from Nipsey Hussle. We learned it from this situation. In all situations, it only take one person to mess something up that don't like you, And that's why I'm very, very careful of how I move on a regular basis. Anyways, continuing on. And then last but not least, Chicago. So this story came across my desk actually about a day ago. But apparently I did a story where I basically had broke down how over almost 500 per week cars are being stolen over in Chicago. Like 40 something or 50 something per day or something like that. And one guy and some people are taking it into their own hands in order to try to get their cars back. And check it out what happens as a result of that.
A father is speaking out today on the South Side, explaining why he and his son started chasing an alleged car thief.
A chase which ended in a crash. WGN's Brona Tumblety joins us now from police headquarters with details. Brona.
Good evening, guys. Yeah, it is quite a tale involving a stolen car, a shootout and a smashed up store. But the person you're about to hear from says the thieves fired first.
It was stolen and we called the police and said don't, because we had a tracker on the car and said don't chase them.
This is Liborio Torres' son's vehicle, smashed up, shot out and sticking out of the side of a T-Mobile store at 87th and Lafayette on the city's south side. But let's rewind. That car was stolen earlier today from the 5500 block of South Costner. The family, of course, called the police, but the car also had a tracker and they decided to follow it.
All the way down 47 and Hospital, all the way up to here. So we came in June, we went around and we seen it because he was tracking it down. We thought we seen it, like, oh, it's right there.
And there it was with the alleged thieves still inside.
They saw us and they started driving. And then when the other guys in the back started shooting at us.
So Liborio says he and his son opened fire too.
I shot back, yeah.
Police say there were at least 3 people in the vehicle, one of whom got away. A 23-year-old was struck in the shoulder during the shootout and took himself to Trinity, while a minor was taken into custody and then transported to Comers with some injuries sustained from smashing into the wall. Police also telling us this afternoon that 3 guns were recovered at the scene, including a rifle found inside that vehicle. Well, live at 35th in Michigan, Brona Tumblety, WGN News.
Look at me muted. That's what I get. Because I was imitating the Irish lady, and so that's what God said, no, you're not going to imitate people and make fun of them. But no, shout out to them. I keep hearing this Irish lady's whatchamacallit, her accent. The thieves have officially gotten over to the hospital and one got away, and there's going to be a corned beef sandwich that eventually is given to one of the people that were captured in order to snitch on the third one that got away. I got it. I see it. I'm muted. I see you. Thank you. Thank y'all for letting me know. I'm on it. I figured it out faster than before. But Sly Guy, don't be like that. I'm here. I figured it out really, 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 really quickly. So no, that is wild though, to go and recover your car. They still got your car. They got rifles inside of the car. They still sitting there and they throwing shots at you. You throw shots back and hit them. Now they in the hospital and it's all over a stolen car because you wanted to crash out. When they sitting there and they in jail and they trying to figure out where their life went wrong, they can always draw it back to doing some petty crime that then graduated into something that was worse. And people not playing no games no more. They putting air trackers on their car, air tags and trackers on their car, and they want their stuff back. People work hard for their stuff. And then they didn't just steal the car. They wasn't giving it back. They crashed the car, and then one person officially got away. So shout out to Chicago. Y'all out there wilding. Y'all still wilding. I do plan on making a trek over to the Chicago-ish area very soon. And I'm not telling y'all when I'm coming either. My Irish accent is trash. Yeah, I agree. I'm not Irish. I work on it. I got Fleece Johnson down. I got Brandon Johnson down. I got all of the Johnsons down. So I'm going to work on my Irish accent, and then we're going to get there, all right? So anyways, ladies and gentlemen, that is your quick hits for the day. And we're going to continue over with the show. So let me acknowledge a super chat. Zell Jr. says something for last night's show is cheese yellow. If y'all not on After Hours, it's a great show. Made my night. And when you told bro calling in, you laying on your stomach, I died. Yeah. Everybody in the chat was rolling over laughing. I'm trying to figure out if I'm going to do After Hours tonight or not. Let me also give a shout out to my girl, Randy. Randy with the 25 ball says, thank you for covering the TCN Putin interview. Yeah, that Tucker Carlson interview is wild. Shout out to Randy. Let me give you a round of applause. I also want to acknowledge Ali Collins for holding me down. Thank you for holding me down on Cash App, my friend. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And thank you to everybody that support the platform. Y'all ready to get started with the whole show, not half the show, the whole show? Because we got a lot to cover today. All right, so first and foremost, I want to cover the money first. I want to cover some more controversial money first. We're gonna do it in reverse a little bit in reverse, slightly, but not a lot. I feel like this chair is so squeaky. What the fuck is going on? Let me see something. All right, much better. All right, I think that we want to kind of go in reverse. Shout out to Sister. I appreciate you, sis. I'm going to read that super chat shortly. But let's kind of go in reverse, right? I want to share this story with you. And the reason why this story is relevant, well, is multiple different reasons why the story is relevant. But one of the main reasons why it's relevant is because let's refer back to the UAW, right? And even though steel workers, especially at U.S. Steel specifically, because that's what we're going to talk about right now, steel workers are represented by a different union in this particular company. They still have the same philosophy and they have the same endorsements. I did my research. We're going to talk about it, okay? And it's similar to voters, because when you think about voters and what's happening with the migrant crisis and the leadership in these cities, you can't vote one way or you can't live your life one way, get the results from it, and then complain about it. I'll show you what I'm talking about. Let's get into it. So, first and foremost, U.S. Steel is now selling itself to a Japanese company.
Welcome back. Well, U.S. Steel will be acquired by Japan's largest steelmaker, Nippon Steel, for more than $14 billion. But the deal is facing criticism from steel workers as well as President Trump. Fox Business's Lydia Hu is live in Braddock, Pennsylvania this morning with more. Lydia.
Yeah, good morning, Maria. We're in front of a steel plant that has been in operation for almost 150 years, powering the American Industrial Revolution, powering America through World War II and becoming an integral part of the economy. But this plant and about 24 other plants would be sold to a Japanese company if U.S. Steel gets its way in a multi-billion-dollar deal. Nippon Steel plans to buy U.S. Steel and that more than $14 billion purchase. And since talks of selling U.S. Steel were first made public in August, shareholders have certainly seen a boost, but the steelworkers are outraged. We talked with members of the Steelworkers Union who worry about their jobs and their future under a foreign company. Watch here.
Well, before we get to the steel workers and before we hear what they have to say, again, let me say this. The union itself and its union members historically have all endorsed candidates that align similarly with the same governing principles that got jobs to lead the United States of America in the first place. Let me say that again. These same workers, let me share my screen with you, for example. The United States Steel Workers of America is the workers that actually, or the union that represent the U.S. Steel that's being sold over to Nippon Steel, which is a Japanese company, right? And what they've done throughout their history, and this is, for example, the 2020 presidential election, the United States Steelworkers, or the United Steelworkers, embraced Biden. And they specifically had a whole thing on their website that says Vice President Biden has been a long friend of workers in our union, and they're proud to stand with him as he seeks to put our country first. This is their website. Vice President Biden has long been a friend of workers in our union. The USW is proud to stand with him as he seeks to put our country back on a path towards shared prosperity through responsible leadership. Now, let me remind y'all of something, because this is the Millionaire Morning Show, and I'm always going to share with you how it comes back to the money before we go back to the article. All right? I want to remind you of something. I don't know if you remember, but Trump was the one, and this is just the honest to God truth. This has nothing to do with whether or not I like him. This has nothing to do with who I endorse for president. But I'm going to just be honest with you. Trump was the one that basically endorsed the steel industry, and he worked his entire presidency from 2016 over to 2020. And he worked his entire presidency in order to fight foreign companies, mainly Asian companies, including China, by putting tariffs on China, which included their products and steel specifically. And then he went over and he renegotiated with Mexico and Canada the North American Free Trade Agreement, which riled people up. But what it did was it boosted prices, it saved the steel industry here in America, and it continued to create a thriving economy, which was one of the reasons why we continued to maintain jobs, and we didn't have jobs continue to be siphoned off over into other countries. What you even see as far as jobs and manufacturing coming back to the United States of America today is largely based on the principles and the foundation and the negotiations that came along with his presidency from 2016 through 2020. This is a fact. This is not my opinion. This is a fact. And so what happened was they created a trade war because they said that it was too far on the other side and foreign entities being able to participate in what's going on over here in America versus how we have to participate when it comes to investing in foreign entities on their soil was too disproportionate. It was too disproportionate. And so what we did was we started a trade war or tariffs that was then being levied against their products, including steel, because it was too much foreign steel that was being dumped on American soil in order to support what was being built over here in the United States of America. And so what it did was it incentivized companies here to buy steel from here instead of buying it from foreign companies that was dumping it cheap over here in America in order to take over more market share. And they still endorse Biden. They still endorsed him. They still endorsed him. That's a fact. This is not my opinion. This is a fact. They still endorsed him. How do I know so much about the steel industry? Well, I still have some really, really good friends over in the steel industry because I used to work there. And I have some really good friends even over at Local 600 right down the street over in Dearborn, Michigan, where we're also represented, I'm still thinking I'm a part of Local 600. They are also represented by the same union and the same local that is right there at the Dearborn Assembly Plant that assembles the Ford F-150. They assemble more F-150s than anywhere in the world right there, along with over in Kentucky. And so when I was calling them and I was talking to them and I was saying, hey, what's going on with there? Are y'all experiencing some growth and a boom? They said, Anton, we can't stop working. They said, we can work more hours than we ever have before. We work more hours than we ever have before, and we are thriving and we are pumping. And this was all throughout his presidency specifically. Yet, the United States Steelworkers and Local 600 and the UAW all stand behind the very thing that's killing their jobs. If you don't even know, right, because you really need to go and do your history, they all endorsed Clinton, right? They endorsed a lot of these Democratic presidents that was happening and it was popping way back in the 90s. And these are the presidents that actually opened up trade for foreign companies to actually invade into America when we come to our prosperity and when it comes to our jobs. We was able to ship jobs overseas instead of continuing to manufacture over here because it was cheaper in order to import. And then that's when you start to see, jobs continuing to be thrown away when it came to manufacturing in the United States of America. That happened under the Clinton's administration. That's a fact. This is not my opinion. This is a fact. So now, when they stood with him against the very person that was fighting against them with the limited tools that they have. They stood with him. And so now we sit here and look at them complaining about the possibility of a foreign company buying them up. But guess who's going to benefit? The shareholders. Whoever it is that owns stock in U.S. Steel are the ones that are going to benefit as a result of it. That's a fact.
It was the workers that drove the force for the profits to be made. And at the end of the day, they sold off to the highest bidder to line their own pockets and left these guys kind of holding the bag with an uncertain future.
I feel like they already haven't put America first by selling out to a foreign entity.
Wait. Don't start saying it's Trump's slogan. They haven't put America first. Don't say it. Don't start saying his slogan. Listen, we don't want to hear it. We don't want to hear it.
Now, U.S. Steel said in a statement, Nippon Steel's investments will strengthen the American steel industry for the benefit of American customers, employees, and communities. Meanwhile, Nippon Steel has pledged to honor the union's collective bargaining agreement, promising no layoffs or closures. But concerns about the sale are reverberating across Washington and on the campaign trail. The White House has said that President Biden wants serious scrutiny of this deal, whereas former President Donald Trump has said he would block this merger. He talked to you about this in an interview on Sunday Morning Futures. Watch here.
How strong is China's influence on American politics, American business? Is it possible to decouple, or is it just tariffs the way you dealt with it? You used tariffs and sanctions against China.
I want to get along with China. I think it's great, but they've really taken advantage of our country, and we turned it around. We put big tariffs on steel. I saved the steel companies, and now Japan is buying U.S. steel.
This is a fact. If you go back and look, it's only a few Google searches away for you to look at how it is that the steel industry was reeling. The steel industry was reeling all throughout Obama's presidency and almost up to 2016, so much so that the company that I used to work for, it used to be Rouge Steel. First it was Ford Steel, then it was Rouge Steel, then it was bought up, and then it turned into Severstal, which was a Russian company, and then it turned into something else, and it was reeling, and that's why it kept being bought out. And then they finally got a company to invest in it, and then they invested in it, and they continued to upgrade the facilities and stuff like that during Trump's presidency. And then eventually he was ousted, and he did. He put tariffs on foreign steel that then helped the American manufacturers continue to survive and compete against them because they was dumping cheap and often considered inferior products over here in the United States of America.
Steel. You know what a name that is? That's the most important name. 50 years ago, there was no company like U.S. Steel. Now that Japan is buying it, I don't think I'd let that deal go through, by the way.
Now, Japanese media is reporting that Nippon Steel's CEO is brushing off these concerns, insisting that this deal is going to proceed. But U.S. Steel did disclose in its recent annual report that litigation and union grievances and disputes could possibly or prevent the merger. We're going to follow every twist and turn. Maria, back to you.
All right, Lydia.
So you can't really complain about the thing that you vote for. When you see things happening in your city, you can't really complain because this is the thing that you advocated for. When you see things happen in your company, in your industry, you can't really complain because this is the thing that you advocated for. You get a temporary boost. You benefit from the thing that you have. You go against it, and we have short memories, and then ultimately it resorts in something like this. So how can you complain? How can you look? I'm looking at some people in the chat, for example, right? There's some people in the chat that's whining. Whining. There's some people in the chat that's whining right now. I'm not sure why they sitting there whining, but they sitting there whining. Tandem Transport says Toyota stock went from 190 to 223 in a week and a half. Hey, ask them Tandem stock, and ask them Tandem Transport if Anton recommended Toyota as far as what you should be what I would invest in if I was investing in, or what I would recommend the people invest in if they were investing in an automotive company, as far as their stability and all of that. Ask the people on this very live stream if I said specifically that Toyota is probably the company that I would invest in if I was actually trying to, keep my money in something for the next 10 years. Ask them. I called it. I literally said that. Literally on this show, I said it. You can't complain about the very thing that plagues you, especially when you participate in it. I'm so tired of people running in the Victim Olympics. It's getting sickening. It's getting very, very sickening how you guys are continuing to complain about the very thing. Your very demise is the thing that you vote for, yet you complain about it. But it's okay. It's okay. Because you the one that's going to be out on the street. Your brother, your uncle, all of those people, they are the very ones that's going to be affected by it, and then it's going to affect you. Eventually, it's going to affect you. So, anyways, let's continue on. Let me read some of these super chats, and then we're going to rock out. Shout out to Sister. I can admit it. Anton is right. Shout out to my baby sister. I love you, baby. Thank you for holding me down, my love. Self-Made Forever says, yesterday, AD, you said jobs wasn't meant to be careers, agreed, but most people with college degrees end up working at regular jobs, so wages should go up since college is a scam. College is not a scam. I don't know if y'all actually listen to yourselves when y'all talking. College is not a scam. It is a pathway for you to be further educated and prepare yourself for the career field that you're going to be in. Now, the fact that you do it the wrong way and you take out all of these crazy student loans is your fault. But college is not a scam. And just because you got a degree does not mean that you can't be fiscally responsible. And then also on top of that, make sure you invest in it. You also invest in your own businesses. Why can't y'all do two things at the same time? And what makes you think that just because you get a good job that you're not supposed to be fiscally responsible? Why do you look? Get out the Victim Olympics. Get out the Victim Olympics. And I said specifically, minimum wage jobs are not supposed to be careers. So get my words right. You see how y'all purposely leave certain things out in order to try to illustrate your point? I remember exactly what I said because I was breaking down what was happening in the fast food industry and how the fast food industry was innovating to remove people because they had to pass the cost over to the consumer in order to raise minimum wage to $25 an hour over in California. And I said specifically, well, listen, those specific jobs weren't meant to be careers. Doing fries at McDonald's was not supposed to be meant to be careers. So now you twisted and you said, AD, you said jobs wasn't meant to be career. You know what the purpose of working is? It's to make money. So when you get the money, what you do with it starts to then become your social norm, which then determines how it is that you're going to live your life. So if you can't leverage using a job in order to continue to make money, then that means that you the idiot. You need some fundamental change within you. It don't got nothing to do with the system. It don't have nothing to do with college. There's plenty of people that go to college and they thrive and they become successful and they become millionaires. As a matter of fact, there are studies that basically say if you go to college and you get a bachelor's degree, you're going to make well over $1 million from somebody that just got out of high school. So how is college a scam if the statistics say otherwise? Come on, man. Think. Good God. Need y'all to think. Cody Marshall was in the building and says, this is not good for the steel industry. I agree with you. Shout out to Cody Marshall. Also says, Nippon Steel said they're going to be laying off people once they proceed with the merger. They'll eventually start with streamlining. Yeah, because they want to acquire your customers and they want to acquire your processes, but they don't necessarily need the manufacturing because they already got the capacity. Ari Reed says, I'm late, but I'm here. Good morning, family and AD. Happy Friday. No, you wasn't late. You wasn't late. I started a little bit early today. Bag for Bag says, when I was hauling steel during Trump's presidency, I was at U.S. Steel 2 to 3 times a week. Let's keep it going because these people want to run into victim. Y'all want to be victims so bad. Y'all want to be victims so bad. You know you can go to college and literally go to college without getting any student loans. You know you can become more educated without getting any student. All right, listen. I'll tell you what. Y'all do it y'all way. Y'all do it y'all way. You go ahead and you make sure that you don't go to college, you don't get educated. Make sure you go and run in the Victim Olympics, and let's see how that works out for you. Let's move over into the next story, y'all, because this is crazy. Biden, right? So I've seen some people talking about this in the chat, and I did plan on addressing this, but Biden was basically supposed to be reporting on good news yesterday, but they wound up going back and forth, and he got into it basically with a reporter about his memory. In addition to that, Biden specifically was addressing his possibility of closing off the borders in order to prevent the migrant crisis from continuing to be a threat on U.S. soil. Let's get into it, y'all. Make sure you hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, turn on your notifications. Also, teach Hanley 30% off your first order plus a free gift. And make sure you tap into the Patreon. We got Stock Club coming up. Link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. Let's get to it.
Let's talk about the border right now, because just one day after Senate Republicans blocked a border security bill, there's word that the White House is preparing for a plan B. Two U.S. officials tell NBC News that President Biden may take executive action to address the border crisis, including efforts to stem the flow of migrants. Now, that number hit a record high back in December, with Customs and Border Patrol reporting more than 10,000 crossings per day. NBC News Homeland Security correspondent Julia Ainsley joins us with more. Julia, look, you are so well sourced on this topic. How much of an impact could an executive action have? And is that sort of an admission that we can't solve this problem without legislative help?
Well, that's exactly why the White House sent out the statement on our reporting, I think, Morgan, that they did last night, where they're saying, look, there's nothing that the White House can do that will get anywhere near the impact of that border bill. And they just continue to say that the bill should be passed. But as you just pointed out in your previous reporting, that has now been stripped from what just got passed through the Senate. So it's a question of, could it be added in or passed in a different way? But basically, without funding, without new authorities, they're basically just trying to put a Band-Aid on a much bigger problem here. But sources that I've spoken to and my colleague Monica Alba has spoken to say they've got to do something. These numbers are expected to start going up again in March. Going into an election year, this is becoming a really big issue. Some people who didn't care a whole lot about immigration or indifferent about people coming into our country, it's now starting to be an issue they care about. And the White House wants to act, but it probably won't go as far.
Imagine the person that's in charge of the entire country, the leader of the free world. Imagine the president of the United States saying, I may take action to stem the flow of migrants crossing the border. I might enforce the laws that's already on the books. I'm thinking about getting to it depending on. Imagine the leader of the free world saying that they thinking about doing something as far as stemming the flow of migrants that's crossing the border. Imagine the very person that said that they are never, ever during their presidency going to institute another piece of border wall, and then they name Kamala Harris the border czar, saying that they thinking about getting to the border issue, even though we literally have millions and millions and millions of migrants that can go to TikTok and find out exactly where it is that you can cross over into the country without any kind of prevention at all. Hey, I might pay my bills this month. I might drive legally. I might do the right thing today, it sounds crazy to even think about what you might do if you get the right backing from the right people and they do what you want us to do. Imagine not enforcing the laws in order to try to hold up funding to continue to fund things that ultimately is going to be the end of or the demise of what it is that we got as far as what America is today. Imagine enforcing laws to prevent people from doing stuff illegally on American soil that's not even from here. We shouldn't even be having these conversations with all of these liberal mayors and liberal governors. We shouldn't even be sitting here talking about Chicago. All this did was basically expose and show the hand of all of the people that do not have the best interests of this country at heart. But I will say this, though. It didn't really expose them as much as it exposed the American people. Because remember, you guys voted for this. And no matter what, you always going to vote Democrat in these certain cities, in these blue cities, despite the fact that they're displacing you, despite the fact that your schools are failing, despite the fact that they now have no... Look, I was talking to a teacher. I was coaching a teacher. And one of the reasons that they sent me a coaching call or they booked a coaching call with me is because they wanted me to help them craft a plan that allowed for them to have a completely different career because they were strongly trying to get out of being a teacher. And they said that, you know, most of these schools are woefully understaffed. The teachers don't want to be there anymore. Teachers have always known that they've, in a larger capacity, been underpaid, but they had been okay with it because they loved what they do. And so if you can, at the very least, create an environment where somebody loves what they do and they love impacting and helping people, you know, that's a good thing. Until we can figure out how it is that we can bring your pay and your salary to be commensurate with your value, right? And so they was like, yo, Anton, I'm looking to get out of here. I said, why? They said, Anton, it's just so bad. It's so bad. They said, it's not bad. I've talked to this person. I'm thinking about going over to this particular school in this environment. They said, it's not as bad over there, so maybe I'll be able to endure over there. They said, but Anton, it is so bad. It is so bad in these schools. I said, wow, that's crazy. That's crazy. Did you know in some environments, they are now requiring teachers to be bilingual in order for them to even be able to get a job, as though we don't already have a shortage of teachers in the first place? Why? Because a lot of the students that then get enrolled into these schools don't even speak English. No hablo inglés. And the president might. He's thinking about it. He's considering it. It's a strong possibility that he's going to fix it. Now, we got people in the chat, and make sure that y'all don't time them out or anything like that because they're not being disrespectful. They're just giving their opinion. They disagree with me, and that's fine. That's fair. They disagreeing with me to their own demise. Not even to their own demise, because you old. Listen, most of y'all that's out here stuck in y'all ways, you washed up, fam. You washed up. And that's why you don't care. That's why you don't vote. That's why Houston had less than an 8% turnout rate when they voted in their mayor. You stuck in your ways. You old, you bold, you crippled, you need a hip replacement. You think that Social Security, listen, it ain't even gonna matter because you're gonna be living van life. Did you get your van? Did you buy your van yet? You're going to be living van life, so we ain't even gotta worry about it. We not gonna trip about it. You going into van life very, very soon. You ain't got enough money to be able to bridge you between here and there. You're not a bag chaser. You're not doing the thing that's in your own best interest. You continue to vote the way that you vote. You're waiting on California to give you reparations. Huh? So it ain't even gonna matter. You think that you trying to finesse disability. You trying to get off, figure out how you can throw a weight on your foot so you can be out, so you can be laid up in the bed and being a single baby mama. And you a whole man. You a man that's trying to be a single baby mama. We ain't even got to worry about it. We not going to even sit here and negotiate. I know that you not even doing the thing that's in your own best interest. Your mama, Section 8 housing. You trying to get a food voucher. Your baby mama is selling her EBT for 25% off, and she might throw in a little bit of Gawk 3000 on top of it in order to get the cash, and they want to translate it so that they can get some free groceries. They leveraging the taxpayer dollars in order to go and sell their EBT card, and they going to get you some free gas on top of it. Your nephew is scamming. Yes, your nephew is scamming. Your nephew's girlfriend is setting dudes up. And it don't matter anyway. Because it's a strong possibility half of these niggas is, let me be quiet. Half of these people is over there in Atlanta and they driving around in the daytime because they ain't got no job anyway. So we ain't got to worry about it. Hey, hold on. Maybe this migrant crisis isn't such a bad thing. Maybe the migrant crisis isn't such a bad thing. Because at the very least, I know that the roads is going to be clear because somebody going to be going to work in the morning. Somebody going to be going to work in the morning. At the very least. They ain't going to be hanging out in the daytime talking about, I ain't got nothing better to do, what's going on. And obviously, listen, this ain't for everybody, but if the shoe fits, wear it. Ain't you tired? Ain't you tired of being poor and broke? Ain't you sitting here tired of going against every single thing that I say? You know, after hours last night, it was a dude that called up to debate me just because he was bitter about losing an argument in the past. And I said, you watch every day to try to figure out a way to beat me in a debate instead of trying to understand why it is that I'm telling you what it is that I'm telling you. That is female energy. That is feminine energy. That is feminine energy. Every day you sit here and you work on yourself in the mirror by yourself to try to figure out how you can beat me in a debate. Not because you're trying to understand why I'm saying what I'm saying, but because you don't want to lose, and so you holding on to the thing that I said to you before. Come on, man, we got to get over that. I don't even remember the conversation. He had to remind me, yeah, because I remember yesterday, about a year ago, we was over there. I said, fam, you got to let that go. You got to let that go. Because that's similar to the people that went on Ricky Lake and Maury and all of that, and they used to say, yeah, you dissed me in high school. You used to think that I was not, but now I'm hot. And then the person come up there and they be like, what's your name again? I don't even remember you. So you let this person live in your head rent free for the entirety of your life, only to come back and them not remember you, and they still probably doing better than you. I used to be an ugly ducking and now I'm bussing. Come on, family. Come on, y'all. Look, the only thing that matters is whether or not you're more successful. You still stuck on stupid. It ain't even you that's going to suffer. Forget you. It's going to be your kids. You already stuck in your ways. It's too late for you. Not because you can't fix yourself, but because you too stuck in your ways. Then you ain't going to change anyway. It's hard to get somebody that's been doing something for the whole time to do something differently that's in their own best interest. You just got to reach the kids. You got to reach them when they still being developed. You got to reach them when they still impressionable. When it actually matters. You got to impress upon them something that's going to actually change their life and lead them in the right direction. Otherwise, it's over.
You know, you describe sort of the system and the back and forth here, but I know that you mentioned there was a 50% drop in crossings between the record high that we saw in December and just as January hit. I mean, what changed? How did you see a drastic drop to that degree?
Well, one of the reasons the numbers were so high. And
Listen. Look at Eduardo. Listen, Eduardo Mendez. Dude, Biden and Trump are not the answer. Eduardo, let me ask you a question. Are you watching this on an Obama phone? All jokes aside, I'm not kidding. Do you have your green card, Eduardo? Eduardo, do you have your green card? Before you keep trying to convince me what's not the answer, do you have your green card? Are you authorized to speak to me? Just a question. Just a question. Anyways, let's spin the block. We're gonna address. So, in addition to Biden speaking on Eduardo, that was just a little jokey joke. Don't take it too serious. Eduardo, Don't get offended. It's all right, baby. It's all right, baby boy. You can get these jokes too. Anyways, but Biden on the flip side was asked from a reporter because he's basically defending himself from being too old. Check this out.
This report should have been good news for President Biden. The special counsel said no criminal charges were warranted. But then there was the bad news. The report also said the president suffers from a faulty memory and, quote, has diminished faculties in advancing age, unquote. The president called a news conference with 15 minutes notice and faced some tough questions.
President Biden, something the special counsel said in his report is that one of the reasons you were not charged is because, in his description, you are a well-meaning elderly man with a poor memory.
I'm well-meaning, and I'm an elderly man, and I know what the hell I'm doing. I've been president. I put this country back on its feet. I don't need his recommendation. It's totally out.
How bad is your memory, and can you continue as president?
My memory is so bad, I let you speak.
Honestly, he genuinely sounds like he's trying to hold it together every day. He looks older and older every single day. Older and older every single day. Don't get salty, Prez. Don't get salty, Prez. I'm not confident. I'm not even sure if he's the person that's standing there. And it's not even his fault. How old is he? 91? 81? How old is Biden? Somebody tell me how old Biden is. I got to figure this out. That's an old 81. Dang, Barack Obama only 62 years old? When did he become president? When he was 47? That's an old 81. He don't even look like he all there. That's to be honest with you.
Biden defended himself after special counsel Robert Hur put out a 345-page report. It said Biden willfully shared and retained highly classified information when he left office as vice president. Some of the documents were kept in the garage and offices of his homes. But the special counsel also said the president has poor memory and that during his interview with FBI investigators, Biden, who is 81 years old, couldn't even remember the year his son Beau died. Biden insists he does remember it very well.
How in the hell dare he raise that? Frankly, when I was asked the question, I thought to myself, it wasn't any of their damn business. My memory is not good. My memory is fine. My memory, take a look at what I've done since I become president. None of you thought I could pass any of the things I got passed. How'd that happen? You know, I guess I just forgot what was going on.
Mr. President, for months when you were asked about your age, you would respond with the words, watch me. Many American people have been watching, and they have expressed concerns about your age.
That is your judgment. That is your judgment. That is not the judgment of the press.
But at the end of the news conference, when he was talking about the Middle East, the president referred to the president of Egypt as the president of Mexico. Biden's lawyers this morning are defending him. They call the special counsel's report unfair. In a statement, they write, the president's inability to recall dates or details of events that happened years ago is neither surprising nor unusual.
So I do think that he's old. When I see him tripping up the steps on a regular basis, when he was referring to the different countries in the wrong way, I mean, it can happen to anybody, right? It could be a mistake when I forget to hit the mute button half the time. However, he just honestly just looks like he getting older and older every day. Like if somebody, I remember when Bush was in office and he was speaking somewhere and somebody tried to throw a shoe at him. Listen, he looked like he was Neo from the Matrix. He was so focused. He was ducking and dodging. And that dude took off both shoes and he tried to throw him and hit Bush in the head. And Bush laughed. He laughed at him. I don't know if y'all ever remember that video. Have y'all ever seen that video where Bush almost got hit in the head with the shoe and he ducked and dodged that stuff? Y'all don't remember that? Let me see if I can find that. I thought that was the best video that I had ever seen in my entire life. Yo, of all of the things that he did, the second Bush, I said that boy is quick on his feet. Of all the things that he did, he was quick on his feet. I don't think that Biden can do that. And then he tapped his homie like, yo, we got it. Don't even worry about it. He said, I got it. He said, look, he tapped his homeboy. He said, Lord, don't worry about it. He said, I'm all right. He said, I'm all right. I got it. Don't even worry about it. Now, had that been Biden up there, it would have been two shoes for the face. Two shoes for the face. Two shoes. Bush was quick on his feet. As president, I think that you should be able to duck a shoe. That's just my own personal opinion. But let's continue on. I don't want to beat a dead horse. Let me read some of the super chats and then we're going to continue on with the show. Mary Creech says, I'm calling BS. They shut that down with the quickness during COVID. That's a fact. So you can't tell me you don't already have the power to do the same thing now. Listen, you couldn't even go out the house. You couldn't open up your business. Nobody was going nowhere. You couldn't even get out of your own crib except for to go and get toilet paper. Walk outside without a mask on during the pandemic in some of these states and you was going to be ostracized. And now they out here making excuses why we can't get control of the border. Bag for Bag says, I no lie, I seen a mother of four flipping burgers at Jack in the Box get a Section 8 voucher and was so excited. Eric says, Anton, Trump is too old as well. I don't think so. Because Trump got all of his cognitive functions. He focuses. He can speak fast. He can speak slow. He chilling. I don't agree. Ari says he an old, mean white man. Get rid of him. Shout out to Ari. I appreciate you. Thank y'all for continuing to hold me down. Let me make sure that I got my people locked down out here in these streets. Torres Morgan. Shout out to Torres Morgan. I appreciate you, Torres Morgan, for holding me down on Cash App. And then also Ollie Collins. Thank you, Ollie Collins, for holding me down on Cash App also. You are absolutely appreciated. Cody Marshall then says Biden is older than the translator. The zip code. Shout out to you. Ken J says, never seen somebody throw shoes so accurately. But we not giving no credit to the Ducker and the Dodger out here in these streets. Did y'all know that the former President Bush, number 2, was actually a great dodgeball player? I bet y'all didn't know that. He was on the dodgeball team. That's alleged. I don't know that for sure. Let's continue over with the show because we got to get into the thick of things. So, I seen this yesterday and I was amazed. I couldn't believe it. I said, no way, no how was Tucker Carlson able to somehow, some way get in contact with Vladimir Putin, and then he was able to do a whole interview with Big Dog, and Putin was just sitting there chilling. Listen, I'm so impressed with Tucker Carlson right now. Content creators, between Shannon Sharp, Tucker Carlson, and content creators that's out there doing their thing, betting on themselves, some of them is winning. Some of these content creators betting on themselves. Fox News, why Fox keep taking L's? Fox News lost out on Tucker Carlson. Fox Sports lost out on Shannon Sharp. And these dudes are winning. They are out here betting on themselves. And I would say that content creators are doing 10 times better of a job at creating content than the producers that are of these major large studios. Y'all don't need them. I couldn't believe it. But the Telegraph also dropped a video of the 5 most important points. So for the sake of time, right, because I feel like I need to do a whole live stream of this. Maybe I need to do a special live stream over the weekend and just break this down and look at the entirety of the interview. The Telegraph basically did a breakdown of 5 points that was very, very impactful as a part of the interview. And so I'm going to show that to you guys because I think it's important for us to at least give a mention and give a nod and give a round of applause and appreciation to Tucker Carlson. And what it is that they were able to do. So let me play this. These is 5 key moments from the Tucker Carlson interview with Putin. And one of the things that he talked about was Elon Musk is almost unstoppable.
There are reports that Elon Musk had already had a chip implanted in the human brain in the USA.
What do you think of that?
Well, I think there's no stopping Elon Musk. He will do as he sees fit. Nevertheless, you need to find some common ground with him, search for ways to persuade him. I think he's a smart person, I truly believe he is. So you need to reach an agreement with him because this process needs to be formalized and subjected to certain rules.
I agree with him. Let's break this down point by point, and let's go point by point. I 100% agree with him. I'm a huge fan of Elon Musk as far as his innovation. But I'm not necessarily a huge fan of where technology is going right now. I think that we are in a moment kind of passing a threshold to where the biggest thing I hate about it is that there's no regulation on it. It's almost like the government is in on it. And there's no threshold and there's no regulation as to why and what people can and can't do and what people should be able to do. With this technology and the limiting factors on it, we can limit anything that we want to. We can close off the borders. We can close off the entire world. We can shut down the world, right? One of the reasons why we have no innovation in the automotive sector, because forget electric cars. Everybody think that electric cars are so novel. They're not. Electric cars has been around since the 80s. It's been around since the 80s. I remember when I was in high school, and I graduated in 2000 because I was born in 1982 and I graduated in 2000. Before that, I remember when I was in elementary school in the early 90s, they used to say to us, man, by the time y'all graduate high school, cars is going to be flying. We ain't even going to be dependent on gas no more. I remember back in high school, they used to tell us that all of this stuff, by the time you do this, you ain't going to be doing it. Man, we still got the same thing. They still riding on rubber. Over there in the Congo, they done chopped off arms in order to continue to manufacture and build up the rubber industry. We wrongly classified some of the most harsh dictators that we consider harsh dictators in history, and we largely ignore the people that was over there in the Congo getting their arms chopped off, all because we wanted to continue to support the industry. You can't tell me that this is not driven by profit. The reason why technology gets throttled is because there are certain industries that would be upended as a result of it. We still riding on rubber tires. We still doing the same old, same old. We still asking and advocating for buttons. We still sitting here mining. Man, come on, man. Stop, bro. Stop. Electric cars has been around since the 80s. We got hydrogen. We got all of these different technologies. And if the government wanted to incentivize production of these things, they would create laws around it, and then we will build the infrastructure to support it. But now the government is then basically playing catch up to everything. They play catch up to the drug laws. They play catch up to the infrastructure. Now, listen, we're going to allocate $125 million in order to fix all of the electric car chargers. We so far ahead from a technological perspective, but that's why Elon Musk is feared. And one of the things that we need, this is a very, 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 very rare occasion that I advocate for government regulation. I largely think that the government needs to separate themselves and remove themselves from influencing and impacting business in the way that they're doing it today. But I think that we need government regulation when it comes to artificial intelligence, all of these chips, Neuralink, and all of this stuff, because we basically accelerating our own demise. It's obvious. It's so obvious. I seen a report yesterday or a thing where they basically trying to replace newscasters with artificial intelligence, and they trying to remove y'all from the news now. It's crazy, man.
Subjected to certain rules.
One of our senior United States senators from the state of New York, Chuck Schumer, said yesterday, I believe, that we have to continue to fund the Ukrainian effort, or U.S. soldiers, citizens could wind up fighting there. How do you assess that?
Well, if somebody has the desire to send regular troops, that would certainly bring humanity to the brink of very serious global conflict. This is obvious. Do the United States need this? What for? Thousands of miles away from your national territory. Don't you have anything better to do? You have issues on the border, issues with migration, issues with the national debt, more than $33 trillion. You have nothing better to do, so you should fight in Ukraine? Wouldn't it be better to negotiate with Russia? Make an agreement, already understanding the situation that is developing today, realizing that Russia will fight for its interests to the end?
So
let's back that up. He basically saying everything that we saying. I'm not sure that I agree with what Russia's position is, right? But he's basically telling you in plain language what's happening. He said, listen, y'all really in war. Y'all just fighting it through them. And so instead of y'all actually sending troops over, because see, this is the beauty of it, right? Because he's basically explaining it to you from a C student's perspective, exactly what's happening with Ukraine. He said, listen, Chuck Schumer said we got to continue to fund Ukraine so that we don't send American soldiers over there, right? So basically you saying we at war with Russia through Ukraine. So we're leveraging Ukraine in order to be able to fight this war. And so instead of us actually fighting it with American troops, we send in money, resources, military equipment, and so on and so forth, and technology. So when I see people and all of these people that say, yo, we not at war, we don't do this. Are we? Is it a lie? Is it a white lie? Is it something that we really actually doing, but we actually pretending like we not? And so we leveraging other people in other countries in order to do our bidding, and we're funding it? Is this why it's so important for us to continue to advocate against updating what's going on with the border crisis in order to make sure that we funding what's happening over in Taiwan, Ukraine, and even Israel? He's basically telling you, yes. And I know that it's a lot of people that understand this. But for the people that's slowing it back, let me break it down for you. He said, listen, y'all got bigger issues to deal with. Now, again, I can't sit here and say that I agree or I disagree with Putin. I'm just breaking down what he's saying, right? Because no matter what, I'm always going to be American first. I'm always going to be America first. I may not necessarily agree with my leaders. I may not necessarily rock with what's going on here. But at the same time, I have to support the thing that's in my own best interest, right? So there's a lot of nuance, and I'm sure there's a lot of things that's happening behind the scenes. But for your legislative branches to basically be holding off packages that would allow for us to continue to fund what's going on at the border, for us to continue to be running up the national debt, for inflation to be out of control, for us to be sitting here talking about how it is that people are basically living van life, yet we're funding a war, according to what Putin is saying. We're funding a war that's not even in our own best interest when you look at what's happening on American soil. Is wild. That's what he's saying. Let's continue.
Realizing that Russia will fight for its interests to the end?
So I just want to make sure I'm not misunderstanding what you're saying. I don't think that I am. I think you're saying you want a negotiated settlement. Sure, I'm not misunderstanding what you're saying. I don't think that I am. I think you're saying you want a negotiated settlement to what's happening in Ukraine.
Right. And we made it. We prepared a huge document in Istanbul that was initialed by the head of the Ukrainian delegation. He affixed his signature to some of the provisions, not to all of it. He put his signature, and then he himself said, We were ready to sign it and the war would have been over long ago, 18 months ago. However, Prime Minister Johnson came, talked us out of it, and we missed that chance.
Who blew up Nord Stream?
I heard that Tucker Carlson can't travel to certain countries as a result of doing his interview with Putin.
Came, talked us out of it, and we missed that chance.
Who blew up Nord Stream?
You for sure.
I was busy that day. Nate, do you have I did not blow up Nord Stream. Thank you, though.
You personally may have an alibi, but the CIA has no such alibi.
Do you have evidence that NATO or the CIA did it?
You know, I won't get into details, but people always say in such cases, look for someone who is interested. But in this case, we should not only look for someone who is interested, but also for someone who has capabilities.
I just got to ask you one last question, and that's
So wait.
Also for someone who has capabilities.
Let me break that down. So a lot of y'all are not familiar with what Nord Stream is. So Nord Stream is basically a pipeline that was blown up, and he's saying, listen, Tucker Carlson basically asked him, hey, who caused these explosions in the Nord Stream pipelines? And it's two pipelines, and he's saying, who caused this explosion in the Nord Stream pipelines? That was basically breaches, and it was caused by man-made explosives. And Putin just told him flat out, he said, y'all did it. Now, the thing about it is that initially the theory was, if y'all not following international politics, if y'all not following what's happening internationally, I haven't introduced it into the Millionaire Morning Show because I'm still trying to get y'all used to embracing what's happening locally before we start to address what's happening nationally. The theory was, or what was being proposed by multiple different reports and news outlets, was that Russia blew up its own pipelines. Obviously, I don't know. All I'm doing is breaking down from a C student's perspective exactly what happened. But it's largely believed that, according to Putin, that the United States and its allies were the ones that then affected what was happening with these pipelines. Okay? So he's basically telling you what happened, and he's according to his opinion, and he's saying that, listen, this is how it played out. Y'all were the ones that were a part of it. Why would we blow up our own pipelines? I'm just telling you from a C student's perspective. For those of you in the back that don't understand what's going on and what questions are being asked, this is what he's saying. Let's continue.
I just got to ask you one last question, and that's about someone who's very famous.
Capabilities.
I just got to ask you one last question, and that's about someone who's very famous in the United States, probably not here, Evan Gershkovich, who's the Wall Street Journal reporter.
Мы столько сделали жестов доброй воли, что, мне кажется, мы исчерпали все линии.
We have done so many gestures of goodwill out of decency that I think we have run out of them.
Ни разу не ответил.
We have never seen anyone reciprocate to us in a similar manner. However, in theory, we can say that we do not rule out that we can do that if our partners take reciprocal steps.
So
I do not rule out that the person you refer to, Mr. Gershkovich, may return to his motherland. By the end of the day, it does not make any sense to keep him in prison in Russia. We want the U.S. Special Services to think about how they can contribute to achieving the goals our special services are pursuing. We are ready to talk. Moreover, the talks are underway. And there have been many successful examples of these talks crowned with success.
So let me tell y'all who Aaron Gershkovich is. Aaron Gershkovich. Evan Gershkovich, all right? This is a guy that basically worked for the Wall Street Journal. And he was basically captured, and they're basically accusing him of espionage, okay? And then you had Paul Whelan. I know some of you guys may be a little bit more familiar with Paul Whelan. I'm surprised that Tucker Carlson didn't actually mention Paul Whelan also. Paul Whelan is also being held, and so Evan and Paul are both what they're considering prisoners of Russia that's still on the chopping block, and they're being held in Russian prisons in order to basically negotiate for exchange with the United States of America. Now, let's have a conversation. Why is this relevant to us? Why is this relevant on the Millionaire Morning Show? Well, let's go back a little bit. Remember when Brittany Griner got captured over there for having a vape pen and having some trees over there in Russia when she wasn't supposed to be having that in the first place? And then we traded basically the Lord of War. We traded the Russian merchant of death in order to get her. And then they were talking about, and they basically did that in order to satisfy the culture and black people and voters, in my opinion. They negotiated and got Brittany Griner back, and they left Evan and Paul Whelan over in Russia. Yeah. Brittany got captured later, and we had made such a stink about it, but nobody ever mentioned Evan and nobody mentioned Paul. And even when Brittany Griner came back over here, she said specifically that one of their objectives was to get Paul Whelan and advocate for Paul Whelan to get back in Evan. Yep. And guess what? Nobody has anything to say as a result of it. Let me see if I can pull that footage up right now. Great. Reiner, Paul. I don't know if y'all remember this, but check this out. Check this out. I want to revisit this because I don't want y'all to forget. See, I have a long memory. I have a little bit of a long memory, and I want y'all to actually remember what happened, okay? Over a year ago, when Brittany Griner came home to her girlfriend, one of the things they said that they was going to do is do what?
This morning, Brittany Griner is back home in Phoenix, just in time for the holidays. The two-time Olympic gold medalist shared the news on Instagram, along with new photos showing her first step on American soil and the moment she reunited with her wife, Sherelle. It feels so good to be home.
I'm sorry, not her girlfriend, her wife.
Griner wrote, speaking out for the first time since she returned to the U.S. little over a week ago. The last 10 months have been a battle at every turn. I dug deep to keep my faith, and it was the love from so many of you that helped keep me going, Griner wrote. The U.S. Special Envoy who helped secure her release also expressing gratitude after a hard-fought battle.
We're grateful to have her back. It was a long, hard slog to get there, and the feeling is almost magical.
After 10 months in Russian captivity, the WNBA superstar spent her first week home at San Antonio's Fort Sam Houston base, renowned for treating people held captive abroad. Griner thanked the staff there for the time and care to make sure I was okay and equipped with the tools for this new journey. And that journey will include basketball. Griner confirming she intends to play for the Phoenix Mercury this season. With the first game set for May, Griner returns to the court with new passion and purpose, calling on the president to continue working to bring Americans wrongfully imprisoned abroad, including Paul Whelan, home, adding, I will use my platform to do whatever I can to help you.
Now, question. At what point did we see Brittany Griner or anybody in our administration continuing to work on the behalf of Paul Whelan or Evan? Anybody in the administration working on the behalf of Paul or Evan? That was short-lived. We traded who was called the Russian merchant of death. I was covering it here. I'm so glad and thankful to be I don't consider myself a journalist, a content creator here on YouTube that cover the important topics. And they said that they was going to use their platform. The Biden administration said that he was going to continue to work to get these guys home. And they said, and we didn't hear anything. And as usual, we got distracted by Tyrese or Diddy or something. or something, some Supreme Court ruling that ain't even relevant to nothing that's going on inside of this country, and everybody forgot about it. Poof. And that was the end of it. That was the end of it. Nobody protested. Nobody advocated for it. Nobody cared about these Wall Street Journal journalists that was captured. We didn't even remember that it was even a thing until Tucker Carlson sat here with Vladimir Putin and asked him the question about the exchange of prisoners. Nobody cares. Does it move the numbers? Does it move the polls? Nobody cares whatsoever. Man, listen. They advocated for and they negotiated and they fought feverishly. They got this chick home so fast. But they left them dudes over there in Russia. And so when I hear Vladimir Putin then say something completely different, when I hear him say, listen, I'm willing to negotiate, but they ain't really checking for these dudes over here. Okay, well, then actually means something. But shout out to Tucker Carlson for the interview. I might just go and do a full breakdown because that's more or less up my alley. I don't know. Maybe I should do it on a different platform. Maybe I should do it on After Hours or something. Or maybe I'll do it on the Millionaire Morning Show. I don't know. We'll see. But maybe I'll do a special one over the week. I have no idea. But I think that interview was so incredible. And I listened to it while I was in the shower and I was getting ready and stuff like that. And it was a lot of good meat in there. And I think that we need to start pushing the envelope a lot more for the things that we want to hear and the things that we're interested in. Are we ready for that here on the Millionaire Morning Show? Or do we continue to want to, are we mature enough to have those type of conversations? Are we at the point where we can start participating and start evaluating what's going on with foreign relations and international issues and money when it comes to global demand and what's really happening as far as these wars, or are we still caught up in the nonsense and the BS? Are we still trying to check for what Blueface's baby mama, why she's still letting her daughter or her son cry too much? I'm just saying. Do we need to add a segment in, or do we need to see whether or not Blueface's tattoo healed correctly on the side of her face and people tuning in to see whether or not she gonna let her baby continue to cry? I'm just asking. Y'all let me know, because y'all are the ones that determine, listen, Chat Lives Matters, and y'all are the ones that help to determine what happens and goes on over here on the Millionaire Morning Show, okay? Or maybe we just need to do a separate segment so that the people that love what it is that y'all doing on that side and the people that really want to get to it on this side, we have some special nights that we just do political night or something, or we do international foreign investments and we just break that down. If y'all ready to go into that, then I'll create the space for it. But I'm not going to do it unless the people embrace it. I'm not out here to just do stuff for the sake of doing it. I actually want to push the people, and I want to start getting into some other issues and some stuff that's meaningful. All right, let me read some of the super chats, and then we're going to get into the last thing, because I want to get into, actually, it's not even the last thing. 2 more things that we got to tackle. Mary Creech says, yes, you should review the whole interview. I'm not saying everything Putin said is right, but he brings very interesting point of views on things. I agree. Speaking of sentiments in my heart. Zach said, electric cars are older than the 80s. Try 1800s. I feel you. Briggs says, shout out to Mika and all of the beautiful women out there. Shout out to Mika. Gospel Chops Vlog says, don't sleep. Putin speaks fluent English. I bet you he does. Christopher Chapman says, USA supporting Bandera nationalists is equivalent to Russian funding cartels or Antifa. Mary Creech says, each station has 2 pipes each. One of the 2 pipes and the second station still works, but they just don't use it. Time's Up goes into need hardwood flooring for homes. Your building, my company, Goodwin, Hart Pine in Florida, ships all over the U.S. Let's work, Anton. Send me an email, AntonDaniels413@gmail.com, because we don't have the floors in there yet. Have y'all seen the progress of my place right now? Let me show y'all what it looked like. I know a lot of people were like, Anton, you ain't really building no house and all of that stuff. This is currently what it looks like right now. That's what it looked like. They got the roof on there. We got the plumbers in there. Siding goes on next week. And so everything is coming along, and guess what? We're doing it 100% cash. No financing, no banks. We are the banks. We are the lenders over here. All right. Mr. Locke goes on to say, shout out to the Chasers. No fumbling this weekend. Shout out to the Chasers. Y'all not a part of the Patreon. Link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. Let's get to this money. Let's run it up. If y'all not a part of the Bag Chasers, you are sincerely missing out on what it is that we got going on over here. It's crazy. It's crazy. All right. Let's get into Monique. Monique was talking about, we got a couple more segments, so we're going to speed this up because I want to be done within the next 23 minutes. Monique was breaking down the parkas. Now, if you were a part of After Hours last night, then you knew that Anton from AntonDaniels.com was addressing the other social issues, the Kevin Hart's. I never even got to Tiffany Haddish, so we're probably going to get to Tiffany Haddish either tonight or tomorrow night, whenever it is that we stream on After Hours. I got to figure that out. There was a couple subjects we didn't get to yet, but I plan on getting to those in addition to other things, right? Because I'm kind of tired of talking about Monique. But she did talk about the Parker's money, and somebody sent me this. So I want to review this with you guys. Make sure you hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. Let's rock it up, bro.
I got a show called The Parkers. After I was in Hollywood less than 90 days.
Wow.
90 days. And you have agents, and you have managers, and you have attorneys, right? And they're telling you all the good things. And everybody always said to me, you want to get the syndication.
Yes.
You want to get the syndication. Once you get the syndication, you work because you want to work.
Right.
Right?
So syndication is what, 5 years, 100 episodes?
Syndication is 100 episodes.
Okay.
Right? So that's all I knew.
So I'm learning. And the same, because I haven't seen this, right? So I'm reacting to it for the first time, just like y'all. Some of y'all may have seen this already, but I'm reacting to the first time. So they're saying that a syndication is 100 episodes. I thought that syndication was that you get to a certain amount of episodes. And, well, I'm learning. I'm just going to observe.
I didn't know to ask to be an executive producer of my own image. And nobody told me. I didn't know to ask for that. I didn't know to ask for, after the third year of being on a successful sitcom, that you could say, I now need a bonus. I didn't know to even negotiate that, and no one told me to negotiate that.
They're definitely not going to tell you.
All they kept saying is, when you get the syndication, when you get the syndication, when you get the syndication. Well, 3 years in, the Parkers was in syndication.
So, okay, whose responsibility is it that you learn the business? Whose responsibility is it? And I'm just asking a question because, you know, a lot of us do things and we get into the business and we play it, you know, whatever. And we make mistakes out of ignorance because we don't know any better. So if you 1 year in, if you 2 years in, because I'll give you an example. Will Smith was definitely, if I'm not mistaken, was an executive producer of what was going on with the the Fresh Prince. Seinfeld, you know, once these people got into the business, because I remember Quincy Jones, I think he was producing it, or he was one of the people that had a hand in what was going on with the Fresh Prince. But once these people got into the business for an extended period of time, they started to figure out the business because they started hiring other people that was outside the business to teach them the business. So my question then becomes, whose responsibility is it for you to then learn what it is that you need to learn about the business so you can make as much money as you possibly can? My fault. See, it's a lot of YouTubers and it's a lot of content creators and it's a lot of podcasters. But you know what I did over the years? I learned the business. And so the Chasers know, and I'm going to do a live stream. Actually, I'm not going to do a live stream. I'm going to do a video. I should just do a live stream this weekend, a quick live stream to show y'all exactly what my 1099s are, because I feel like that should be a Patreon exclusive. I shouldn't just give that to the world. And I'm going to show y'all what my 1099 looks like. And I got multiple 1099s from Alphabet. It's actually not even called Alphabet. It's called, the 1099 comes from 26 Holdings Incorporated. Is that what that is? XX VI is at 26. 26 Holdings Incorporated is where you get your 1099 from. You wouldn't believe it. You listen. All these NBA players, some of these NBA players and all of these people, a lot of these people, they have no clue the amount of money that I make. It's insane. It's absolutely insane. But you know why it's insane? Despite the fact that on this platform, I have less than 230,000 subscribers, that I more than quadrupled the amount of money that I make on these platforms, because I learned the business. I want to be the Tech 9 of content creators. I don't want to be the ones that sold all of the records and didn't make no money. My goal was to figure out how it is that I can learn the business before I start to really, really blow up, so that I can capitalize of it, because I own 100% of myself. I own 100% of my. I did my own work. I hired my own people. Like I even when it comes to, I'll give you an example. I'm building a house, right? And then I recently broke ground on my second property that I'm building, but I've already been in the real estate industry. And I said in the very beginning of me getting into this, and man, I'm going to lose some money. I'm going to take some bumps and some bruises and some things that I'm going to have to learn. I'm going to have to hire the right people to teach me what's going on. But I invested in myself. I'm not dependent on anybody to tell me anything. No developer came by and said, Anton, I'm going to teach you the business. Nobody came by and said, Anton, I'm going to mentor you in what it takes in order to build homes. Now I know more than a lot of these dudes that build homes, because I actually went through it and I spent the money to invest in myself to get to it. And now I'm going to own 100% of everything going forward. So my question still comes back to, whose responsibility is it for you to learn the businesses that you're in?
Now, no one told me that. You learn it once you open your eyes, because now I'm going around the country doing promos. The Parkers is coming on at 4 o'clock in your city. The Parkers will be on at 2:30 in Sacramento. Y'all make sure y'all watch the Parkers.
And then when I learn it, I bring it back to my chasers and I say, okay, this is my numbers. This is what I do. This is how I've done it. This is how we going to make money. This is how you monetize it. Listen, you wouldn't believe the amount of YouTubers that have over 1 million subscribers that consult with me, hit me up and say, Anton, show me how it is that you monetize differently. I'll pay you for the information. Show me how you do what you do. I'll pay you for the information. It blows their mind when they see my numbers. It blows their mind when they see my numbers, because now I'm the person that has the information and the person that has, and then I give it to my chasers.
Because it's coming on. I'm not knowing I'm promoting the show in syndication. No one told me that. All we're doing is saying if we get to 5 years, we got to 5 years. 110 episodes, me and a beautiful young lady named Countess Vaughn, who was my baby to this day. We had the Laverne and Shirley law, right? You're supposed to be equal.
Yeah.
Once we got to the 5 years, our attorney, my attorney, and the agents said, oh, the Parkers made money. Y'all gonna get paid from the Parkers. It's made money. Okay, years go by. By 2004, the Parkers, we went off the air in 2004, right? In 5 years, by 2009, the Parkers had made $800 million.
Okay.
You're like, oh yeah.
Stay
money,
with me.
Money.
Money.
Yeah.
Hey, come on.
Money.
Hey, yeah. All right. Okay, because we waiting to get this money, Santa.
That check
is coming. We get a call. We got to do an audit.
What's in the contract? Did the contract say that they? All right, let me listen. Let me just hear this out.
You know, and everything. Okay. And that was in 2009 that it made $800 million. We're now in 2024. And they're trying to convince Countess Vaughn and I that that show made no money.
No.
They're trying to convince us that a show that cost roughly $65 million to make. In our last year of shooting the Parkers, Countess Vaughn and I made $55,000 apiece.
These people is broke. These people are broke. Your favorite actors, your favorite people that's on TV, all of these reality stars, all of these former football players, They broke. They broke. I don't even know why y'all want to do this. I don't even know why y'all want to be stars. I don't know why y'all want to get visibility. Y'all can't go back and work a regular job no more. Yo, they was on there making y'all laugh, kikiing and haw-hawing, and they was making $55,000 a year. $55,000 a year, family. $55,000 a year. Who is the people that was negotiating this? Who is the people that negotiated their contracts?
That's it? How much were you making an episode?
$55,000 an episode.
Okay, so how many episodes did you shoot that last
5 years.
Okay, so she changed it. She said they was making $55,000. She said they was making $55,000 an episode. $55,000 an episode. Okay, so that's different. That's different. She made 55 bands an episode. Okay, so what did you do with the money?
That last year we shot 22 episodes.
Okay.
We made $55,000 a piece at the end of a top-rated sitcom.
Hold on, time out.
Okay, hold on.
Are you saying you made $55,000 for 22 episodes, or are you saying you made $55,000 per episode? Because I want to make sure I'm hearing you correctly.
Let me make sure you hear me correctly. We did 22 episodes.
Yes.
We were paid $55,000 per episode.
Okay.
For 22 shows.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they made $1.2 million. They made $1.2 million. Okay. So both of y'all made $1.2 million a piece. Where did the money go?
That's on a hit.
That's good money. That's good money. I personally think that that's good money.
Show.
Right.
That is unheard of.
Yeah.
Because we're two black women. I don't know to fight for it.
Right.
Countess
You
is
know I would have flipped that money so fast.
young. Countess is a baby in this business. So I don't know to say that
we should be making $100,000, $150,000, $200,000 an episode.
So now today, y'all want to convince us that that show made no money? That show has made over $2 billion, and I'm guesstimating. And you want to convince us that our percentage, we made no money? We can't allow that to happen.
Right.
That's why we're fighting. That's why we're saying, no, guys, we can't sit on our hands like that.
Right.
You know how many of us, when you watch Good Times, when you watch The Jeffersons,
Why don't they do an audit and then they get paid commensurate with whatever it is that they negotiated inside of their contract? What is their syndication deal? That's what I'm trying to understand. Did they just get paid for shooting the episode for when it aired? Or, because see, we need more details. See, just to say, oh no, man, that show made $2 billion. Where's my cut at? Was that a part of your contract? What do you mean you're fighting? Fighting for what? What did you sign? Did you read what you signed? Did you just sign it? Did you just keep acting? I don't understand. Like, are we running into Victim Olympics? Did you do an audit of exactly what it is that they made so that you can make sure that you're getting paid correctly? You know, you can ask for an audit, right? You can literally do a forensic audit on whoever it is that's making money off of you that you're associated with. And by law, they have to give you documentation that shows that they're actually generating revenue or not generating revenue or whatever it is that the show is generating to make sure that you get paid correctly. It doesn't matter if you're a recording artist, if you're an actor, you can ask for an audit and then you're supposed to get paid commensurate with whatever it is that your contract is saying.
when you watch Sanford and Son, whose family is benefiting from our images? Because it damn sure ain't ours.
Yeah, I don't believe that it made $2 billion either, but I don't think that it made $2 billion either. But that's just me. That's just me personally. I think we stretching that a bit.
You see why I fight the way I fight?
Yeah.
Because if it does not make sense, you have to explain it.
Moesha. How did that come about?
Moesha?
Yeah. You had an audition for Moesha, right?
No, sir.
Hold on.
No, sir.
You didn't get on Moesha?
I did. I say this not to be, but I never auditioned.
What?
All right. We got it. So you feel like you was wrong. I don't really care about whether or not she got on Moesha. I only care about the money aspect of it. You get what you negotiate, man. I don't really understand what we talking about. I think you're getting what you negotiate. So I'm going to read the super chat shortly. Sports betting. I want to get into sports betting also before we get up out of here, because there's a lot of people, it seems like, that are getting into sports betting. I'm seeing it as it's kind of a proliferation of it, especially with all of the new apps. You got DraftKings and Underdog and all of these different places. Sports betting is becoming a big thing, but it seems like it's fueling another gambling addiction. Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications.
The Super Bowl will, for the first time, be held in Las Vegas, a fitting venue given the prominent role gambling plays in sports today. America has recently brought its age-old love of sports betting out of the shadows and onto our phones, and this has created an all-time mismatch, pitting man against machine. Gamblers, overwhelmingly young men, versus gambling companies armed with sophisticated AI, data, and engineering, enticing fans to make snap bets not just on games, but on every play within games. The early results? Billions for gambling companies, leagues, and state governments, and a growing population of sports bettors struggling to defend against the rush.
The story will continue in a moment.
Boston is nothing if not a sports town. And when there's a game, odds are good there are guys like Billy, Andrew, and John at the local bar.
Wow, he's waiting for the cameras.
They grew up playing hockey together. Now, in their mid-20s, they bond over beer, wings, trash talk, and lately, a new fixture of the fan experience.
What do you guys bet on? Football or hockey? Do you have a team? Bruins, Patriots. So you want to lose money, you bet on the Patriots.
Winning and losing money. For millions of fans like these guys, it's one more reason to watch and enjoy sports.
Big news!
During games, promotions for sports books like FanDuel and DraftKings are everywhere.
I will say that I believe that I could see the allure of it, because I'm not even a big sports bettor. Like, I've done it in the past or whatever like that. The extent of my gambling is basically the craps table. Like, I like shooting dice. I'm a hood dude through and through to my heart, but I'm not about to shoot on the street. And so I like shooting dice. Like, I like pass line, the don't pass line. I also understand the mathematical odds. And basically either you know, doing a pass or the don't pass, and then leveraging your bet depending on whatever the number is. You know, the probability of them throwing a 7 or throwing a 4 or a 10 or 8 or whatever, so on and so forth. You know, you leverage those odds, but more or less, I think the biggest part of it is just the perks that come along with it, right? So you give an action. That's basically what it is action. So I like in-person action, but when I start attending the games, you know, to place a bet, so let's just say, for example, you throw a $1,000 bet, you throw a $5,000 bet up, whatever like that, it gives you an incentive to root for, and you have a bigger interest in the game, because, again, it's about the action. It's not necessarily about the money. So now every shot matters. You see what I'm saying? Whether or not this person plays matters. Who you rooting for matters. You're actually becoming more immersed in the game. And so even with these goggles, right? So I was looking at these goggles, and I was testing out all of the different features because I'm doing a review on them, and this is the case for the Apple Vision Pro. It gives you a more immersive experience to actually watch multiple different games at the same time, while also, when you don't have no controls or anything like that, while also paying attention to what it is that you got on the line for those games in particular. Now, again, I'm not a heavy sports bettor, but like, for example, no, I'm not going to bet on the Super Bowl or anything like that. But I like, you know, depending on who the boxer is, or if I'm at an NBA game or something like that. I think I had made like 10 grand or something like that on Terrence Crawford on that particular fight. It makes it more immersive, and so it forces you to then become a more participatory in the process. And I could see, here's the worst part about it. Sports betting, especially as they see it today on these devices, these games and stuff like that, it makes it more immersive because it then gamifies it. One of the things that we do as user experience professionals, one of the things that we do in user experience is we learn to gamify whatever it is that's going on. So let's say, for example, you know, I work in a bank and I'm about to do a meeting in about 7 minutes or about 5 minutes. And we want to make sure that the call center become much more efficient. So not only do we want to try to solve for people that's calling in for. We want to have predictive analysis so that we can try to route people to where it is that they're supposed to go so they won't tie up the phone center, right? So we're going to implement some form of Salesforce in order to have the agents to click through and all of that stuff. But then on top of that, we might institute pre-calling AI to then hopefully answer a question before you actually get to an agent, because maybe you can self-solve for the problem. But then we want the agent to be able to solve for it and then maybe upsell you when you get on the phone. Hey, you called in for this. Have you ever thought about refinancing your mortgage? Right? And so how do we get them to do that? Well, one of the ways that we get them to do it is that we gamify the process. We create leaderboards, just the same way that y'all do on Call of Duty, the same way that y'all do when y'all get on Fortnite. We've created leaderboards, and we make sure that we have it going a certain way, and it moves up and down, and we study the game companies and how they do it so that we then implement that same technology, because user experience is not just creating apps. It's not just creating the best experience for when it is that you're on your phone. It's everything. It's how you use the ATM. It's how you walk into a restaurant. It's the POS system for how they ring your stuff up and whether or not people are more incentivized to tip. If you have it at the end and people just walk away. We study these behaviors, and guess who else studies these behaviors? The gambling companies. They've learned to gamify and make it seem like it's not that big of a deal. When you go into a casino and you just get chips, you don't value it the same way, these little plastic chips, as you value actual cash. And so they've learned how to gamify it, and they've generated more revenue without having to put more money, because they can roll these applications out as long as they get a licensing agreement, depending on what state that they want to operate in. A lot of times they got to partner with a casino in order to split the profits, and then it really took off during the pandemic.
$5 to get $200.
A 2018 Supreme Court decision opened the door for states to legalize sports betting.
You want the spread or the money line?
Tantalized by new revenue, 38 states and counting have done just that.
I'll take the Pelicans.
And Americans have spent more than $250 billion sports betting. That's the GDP of Greece. Leagues have cashed in. Networks, too.
Man, I got to teach you how to gamble.
For decades, odds and point spreads were forbidden topics. Now, ESPN has its own sports book.
Called it, baby.
Full disclosure, when I work at the Tennis Channel, I sit here.
The DraftKings Fund, download the app.
So right now, I'm just looking at the lines.
Back at the bar, casual social bettors like Billy, Andrew, and John revel in their wins.
What'd you throw down?
$8 for $347.
So you won 300. You won.
Yeah.
Wait,
I didn't know it was that much.
It's still early innings, and remarkably, there is no federal funding for gambling research, so data is scarce. But survey after survey confirms that of the 50 million or so sports bettors in the U.S., men under the age of 35 are far and away the biggest demographic.
And they crashing out. They're absolutely, positively crashing out as a result of it. There are so many people that are going broke as a result of this, and they're developing bad habits. I'm telling you, it's horrible. It's absolutely horrible. They're crashing out, and it's not in their best interest to continue to do so. Be very, very wary of how you're being programmed to do something, even though you may see it as harmless. It's programming in our music. It's programming in our TVs. What you do want to do, because you are going to be programmed, because everything that you do is a learned behavior, what you do want to do is you want to make sure that you're programming yourself with the right things. And that's namely the Millionaire Morning Show. Let me make sure that you tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. Rose says, continue with foreign relations topics as it helps. It helps as we navigate through this world as free people. My bad, I haven't been here, been watching CG. Shout out to you, Ro. I appreciate you. I will figure out how to incorporate that into what we do. Chris says, good morning, people. Salute to the bag chasers. Anton got to jump into a meeting. Have a fun and blessed weekend. Predictions, Kansas City Chiefs 35, San Francisco 30. Yeah, I think Kansas City is going to win also. I could be wrong about that. Enos Luby says, it was daddy's responsibility. Mr. Maximus says, cleaning workers at my job protested for more pay during their lunch break. After 30 minutes, they were back. They was back to vacuuming and trash duty. What was the point? Bag for Bag is in the building, says her husband was her manager and agent. Why didn't he tell her? Because they didn't know, baby sugar. James Watt says, Chicago, appreciate your wisdom. I'm going to join the Chasers soon. Shout out to all of the people that's in the My boy Jay Ben says, Kai Cenat telling Joe Budden, "I'll buy you" was one of the funniest clips I've seen this week from a content creator towards a celebrity. You got to send me that, Jay Ben. I got to see that. Because we might be having that on After Hours. Also, last but not least, Preston Walker says, "Good afternoon, Anton. No fumbling on Fridays." We here at the Idaho Bag Chasers office got our mothers in the building. Can you break down what a bag chaser is? The chef, strange kid. Okay, so chasers are basically people that are doing the things that's in their own best interest. And then we are a community, right? We push each other. We have conversations based off of money, responsibility, resources, building our businesses, real estate. We go over Stock Club over the weekend. We have meetups where we link up with each other. We push each other. We got a Discord where we basically help each other get government jobs and contracting. And we just do things to where we add value into each other's lives. And we just a community of people that's doing some of the most awesome things on the face of this earth. We got a great network of people in every single sector, whether you're talking about technology, farming, textile industry, technology, government contracts, all across the board. And the people, trust me, the people swear by it because it's awesome. We've gotten people married. We take care of each other. We invest in people's businesses. And more importantly, me personally, I showcase how I do it so you don't have to go through it in order to be successful also. Okay? So that's largely in a quick synopsis what the Bag Chasers is. Shout out to Preston Walker. I am late for my meeting. I got to tap in. Anton from AntonDaniels.com got to get into this performance review. I love you guys. I appreciate you. Make sure you do the thing that's in your own best interest. Tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. Thank you to everybody that support the platform. I want you to do one more thing before we get up out of here. All right? Make sure you share this with your family and friends. We don't want to be successful by ourselves. I love you. I appreciate you. I'm going to holler at y'all later. Peace.